keychain.
Hello, everyone.
That's loud.
That was loud.
Is that when you've got a sound bar in front of you?
Okay, fair enough. Warning next time. I'll stick to the countdown next time then. Hello, it's Gareth at Cosmic Toys. We've also got Ed from Vaults of Iacon and Andy from Excelsior's Domain. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are we today?
We are well, thank you.
Splendid.
As if we haven't just been chatting for 5 minutes as well.
Not at all. Straight in we were, yeah.
We've got a couple of hellos already.
Oh, hello, yes.
Only the good stuff. And Benjamin. He never lets us down, does he, Benjamin? He was here last night. He was in the shop this morning, and he's here again tonight. Now, for a change, I don't know if you noticed it in the description. I thought it might be an idea because all three of us create content on YouTube. I thought it might be worth having a little bit of a chat tonight about what processes we all use, see whether or not we all use the same thing or whether we use different things. And it's also a look behind the curtain for the audience.
Yeah, sorry, I don't share trade secrets.
Trade secrets.
If you're good at something, don't sell it for free.
Okay, Putin.
So I'll be fine because I'm fucking useless at it. So yeah.
You're not at all. I've seen your collector's archives. They're not useless. They're not useless at all.
The people that come on it are good. It's the Burke that hosts it that's no good.
Oh, don't be daft.
Honestly. Self-deprecation, that is.
Of all of us, you're the one with merch.
That's only because I wanted it myself.
Obviously.
I want a cup. I want a bottle.
Fair enough. Well, I'll start anyway by talking about what I use. I use pretty much Clipchamp, which is the Microsoft one, for everything. And I use, what's that called? Polar Pro Photo Editor to do the thumbnails. Which I suppose that's a little bit like Photoshop. Maybe a very streamlined version of Photoshop. And everything else is just done within Clipchamp. Filmed on the trusty old mobile phone. And uploaded to the computer. Saved over to Clipchamp and chopped to bits and music added and whatever else in there. But I'm just about getting my head around it, but I am finding I'm having problems with my computer when I use Clipchamp. So I might be in the market for something else. Hence this conversation.
No, failures. I certainly had some conversations with a few people trying to figure out what FreeBSD video editor was going to be workable. Now I'm trying to think what I started out with because for me, trying to figure out, it had sort of like multiple threads and stuff you could do and all sorts of clever stuff. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I don't know if I've still got it. I probably don't still have it installed. It won't come to me. So basically what I'm using at the moment is a piece of software called HitFilm. And HitFilm is you can sort of pay to get more features with it, but I'm finding that for someone like Means here, it's perfectly usable as is, and so I just downloaded it. It does multiple streams of video and audio, which I find perfectly fine for me. Got features like sort of ripple delete and stuff, which is quite handy when you're trying to sort of squeeze your video timeline together and stuff like that. So I've got to grips with the basics of that, and that will let me stitch stuff together basically as much as I need to. Photo-wise, I just use a very old program called Paint.net. So if I need to sort of shrink thumbnails down to the right the right sort of pixel size, and I just use that for YouTube stuff for thumbnails. And equally, if I want to put text or whatever, I just use that as well. I'm sure there are far better things out there that I could be using, but I'm very set in my ways and I'm ancient, and that's just what I do. The sound thing is of interest to me because I noticed that you tend to put backing tracks on your videos, whereas I tend to be just me, myself, and I, and whatever sort of video is going. So I don't know if people prefer that when you're talking as well, or I suppose if you, when you do your sort of shop stuff, you sometimes don't do commentary over the top, do you? So then I suppose the background music is more.
Yeah. I have it in there a lot of the time to try and hide the sound of customers in the shop.
Yeah.
I dare say there'll be occasions when those customers having what they consider to be a private conversation that I just happen to be recording, and they're off in the distance. So I just think it helps cover some of that up. And then there's times when I have to cut out the sound of a customer, so it would go from having sort of like an ambient sound to just being dead silent, and then the ambient sound returning. So by having a backing track, you've got a constant noise. What I do need to do is reduce the volume on it, because I put it at what sounds like a reasonable volume to me, but then when I watch it back on YouTube later, it feels sometimes like the music is a little too loud.
That's one of the things I really struggle with, because I have this sort of decibel meter thing on HitFilm. I have no idea what it means. I can move a little white line up and down on my volume for the video clip. I don't know what the net effect of that is for anyone else listening to it on a completely different volume setup. So I don't know. I'm not very intelligent on that front. That's one of the things that I'm weak on. That was the one I was using. Yes, I was using. I just found the learning curve on Resolve was just a bit sort of whoa for me. I could just about do it, but it was. I could tell it was one of those ones. If you really knew what you were doing, it would be uber powerful. But for me, it was just that little bit over the top. I mean, I've also used Windows Movie Maker.
Okay.
When I was just doing slideshow stuff, I actually found that super easy, because it was enough for me to just sort of do the video. It would put it out in 1080, and I could add my audio onto it, just having voice recorded it using Windows Voice Recorder. And I just did it like that when I started out with my Babylon 5 sort of slideshowy sort of videos. Dead easy, It was only when I came to do the sort of the more sort of video things for which I too have resorted to this. I've got a Logi camera, which is an HD webcam, which I'm using for this now. I would really love to get a proper SLR type camera with a flip out screen that I could actually see what I was videoing when I'm sat in front of it. That would be lovely. But I haven't gotten that far yet, because they do not come cheap.
No, they don't. I was looking. Yeah. I have been looking. You're still not willing to share, Ed?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I use the same as yourself. I use Clipchamp. And yeah, for video editing. I do have a sound mixer one, but I can't remember what it's called because I haven't downloaded it back onto my new PC yet. It was so I can't remember what it was called, but that's the sound mixing desk, for like music and stuff and things like that, and audio clips. But yeah, it's mainly Clipchamp. I mean, I can do pretty much what I want to do and need to do on Clipchamp, and then for like the imagery or title cards, things like that, I just use Photoshop. I got my hand in my pocket and I got the newest Photoshop. Is it 2023 or something? Photoshop 2023. And yeah, so but I've been using Photoshop Element 6 for donkey's years. But it won't work on the new computer, so I had to upgrade.
Do you use OBS at all?
Use what? Sorry.
OBS Studio.
Is that the freeware one?
Yeah, because a lot of people stream using that.
Files and that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got I've used it when I'm doing myself and something else at the same time. You can capture windows and stuff, and you can capture different sources using it and combine them. So I find that quite useful. I'm about to do I've got a sort of game video coming up where I've got myself as a little head in the corner, and the game is the bulk of the screen. And I did that using OBS.
Right.
It also cured an annoying problem that I have, and I don't know if you've ever come across this, where my mic was delayed as compared to I think it was that way around compared to my video. So you could see my lips moving, but then the sound would be out of sync. So in OBS, I was able to add a delay to I think it was to the audio or something, so that the audio was able to sync up with the video, because that was something I just couldn't sort out without adding that element in. So that was just an oddity that I had to defeat at one point to use that properly.
Yeah, so I'm just replying to all the cool stuff. Yeah, GIMP. I've used GIMP as well. That's a free one. Pretty much, it's very similar to Photoshop, in that you can do layering and things like that. So
yeah, most of
the stuff that Photoshop can do, GIMP can do as well. And it's also interchangeable as well. You can the PSD files that you can save on Photoshop, you can open them up in GIMP and vice versa. So you can use them both, on the same work files, if you will. Oh yeah, I mean, I am looking for another video editing software. Not actively, but as and when I come across one, because I mean, Clipchamp for me has been, I'd say, 100 times better since I got my new computer. But you're still relying on time of day and internet speeds for when it's pulling stuff from the cloud. So if you haven't got an absolute spot on internet connection, then you may suffer some buffering issues, even if you've got a good PC or Mac or whatever. There still could be issues there. But I'm gonna hopefully at some point towards the latter end of this year, I'm going to be going on full fiber. So I'll see what the internet's like then with it, and if it's any better, if it's fine, then I'll just stay with that, because it's like I say, it does what I need it to do, So yeah.
Funny thing is, when I moved into this house, I've been a couple of years now. It's sufficiently old school that this wall is absolutely solid. There's none of this stud malarkey. This is solid, and it kills the Wi-Fi signal, which comes from the other side of the wall downstairs.
Yeah.
So I've actually got a wired internet connection going from my living room around the outside of the house up to this floor, into this room, and connected to my PC. So my internet downloads fly like there's no tomorrow, and it is bloody useful, because what I do is when I film on the camera, it goes up to OneDrive, and then I pull it off OneDrive onto the PC, and because I've got that sort of speedy connection, that I find that workflow really works for me, because almost as soon as I've got it on the camera, I can upload it, get it off the camera, so I've got more space free. It sits on the OneDrive, and I just pull it down off the cloud, and away I go with it. But as you say, it requires a certain base level of PC, I think, to be able to really kind of churn this stuff, because otherwise you're going to be there forever. So it's the first time in a long time I've actually had a PC that's got a bit of oomph behind it. So it's a real bonus.
Okay, that's interesting. Hopefully, some viewers, even on Watch Back, might get some benefit out of that little bit of insight.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first with this week's show and tell? Do we have what have we all? How many has everyone got to show?
About 4-ish, sort of.
Oh, Benjamin says very interesting. Brilliant.
What? We've got 4.
I think he means what we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
How many have you got?
Me?
Yes.
I think I've got 3.
Okay.
2 at a push. 3, maybe 2 at a push.
Fair enough. Well, in that case, because I've got 3, But one of them is sort of a group and a bit of a talk about the whole thing.
Ditto, actually.
Another one is something that I'm going to be touting out from the shop. So if you want to get your Only Fools and Horses music ready, Eddie. And then another one is from my collection. And any eagle-eyed viewers may have spotted it missing from the cabinets already. But it seems as you've got 4, and they will let you go first.
All right, then. Well,
there'll be a certain subset of viewership who may be aware of the fact that there was an announcement regarding Babylon 5 yesterday. So I've gone down that rabbit hole this evening. So basically, there's been news that in December we are finally going to get Babylon 5 on Blu-ray. It probably won't be heavily remastered. Apparently, it's going to be like the HBO re-release has been. So a sort of a cleaned up version of the original 4:3 ratio TV release. But it'll be the most solid release quality that we've probably seen thus far on a hard medium, if you like, rather than streaming. So
sorry, I interrupt him, but would you be buying that then for that sort of like minimalist upgrade, or will you be buying it for the special features or potential extra features?
Well, ironically, apparently, and the thing is, there isn't a lot of detail yet because we're a few months out from it. And literally, JMS, who created the show, just announced it yesterday. I think it was sort of mid-afternoon our time, and I did a little video short because currently my sort of Babylon 5 collection is kind of about this long on the shelf. So I'm kind of hoping it'll be this long on the shelf with a Blu-ray, if nothing else. But interestingly, he has said that it won't include the movies, and it probably won't include things like Crusade either, which was a spin-off series. So ironically, I'm not quite sure how much space it will save, but even my sort of normal series box set is about this, really chunky boxes. Which I don't have to show you here, but they live on a shelf downstairs. But just for the picture quality, I'd probably do that. And also, my DVDs are bloody old. I mean, they are themselves from probably just the early 2000s. And they play fine, or the one's got a slight glitch where it misses an intro bit. So it'd just be quite nice just to have, the core series in a slightly better quality. But even the special features may not be there. So I've got commentaries on a lot of my DVDs. For particular episodes, and apparently they may not be on the Blu-rays, which I find rather extraordinary, but we'll see, I suppose,
I find that interesting.
Actually, Andy, breaking news. I'm just having a look now, and he's just announced as JMS that one of the special features are a load of videos by Excelsior's Domain that are going to be added to them.
Bless you.
Babel Comics called.
Is it? In all their slideshowy glory, yes.
Yeah.
However,
I'm just saying I find it interesting because, I mean, myself personally, when it's older stuff like that, I don't tend to plump for the Blu-rays. I just go for the DVD, because it's like it especially when it's like older TV shows or older films, say like 80s films and things like that.
What you mean. Yeah.
That even when they're tidied up or they're upscale for Blu-ray, they're still not going to be great. So it's like I might as well just watch them as they were when they first came out, and
I know exactly what you mean.
So I mean, I've got quite a big collection of 80s movies, and I've just got those on DVD, because it's like I want to watch them how they were, and some of them has been tidied up, and I've seen examples of them being tidied up, but they've not been what like a modern film released on Blu-ray would look like. But then also,
you can tell the difference immediately, can't you? I mean,
But saying that, the one that I do always quote or go to when I contradict myself is, but there is a reason for it, is the original Planet of the Apes film with Charlton Heston.
Oh.
I bought that on Blu-ray, and that looks absolutely amazing. That is beautiful, is that? So
I think if they can
that's to do with how it was filmed originally and the film that was used.
Well, the interesting thing with Babylon 5 is that I believe they did use quite decent film. So it was like a proper film rather than being taped onto video straight away, day to day. The problem that they have with it is that because it was very cutting edge for its time, it used a lot of CGI, but it also used compositing a lot. So you get the people obviously on top of the CGI, because they filmed the people shots in sort of widescreen, I think it was, because of the way they were filming. But when they did the pure special effects shots, it was only in 4:3 because that was faster to render. And they figured that most TVs back then were 4:3. So unfortunately, the problem that they have is that they have to stretch the CGI to make it widescreen. So they just choose to do it in 4:3 as it was originally, even though they probably could for some of the other stuff do it wider. It's just that's the problem they have with it. So I think it's always a bit of a compromise with how they do it. But to go back to the show and tell mode, Babylon 5 was the first reason I went to a convention back in the day, because that was kind of just at the right time for me. I was at university and it was really starting to gain in popularity, and they came over here and they did relatively small conventions as well, so it was quite kind of intimate. So I started picking up. So I've got so that's one of the sort of the lead characters there. He's sort of signature photos, that sort of thing. That's Michael O'Hare. That is JMS signed to me from back in the day in glorious black and white, no expense spared. So that's probably when he was in Manchester, I think, once. Ed Wasser, we don't need to see him. This is perhaps one of my favourite ones that I've got, because this is Star Fury in Babylon 5. That's JMS, I think Michael O'Hare, and Ed Wasser, who played Morden. And that is from 1995. So that was Wolf 359 The Gathering in Manchester. So that's one.
Framed and on your wall.
It will be. Well, the story behind that is that post my divorce, I completely lost track of where these were. And then one day, my now ex-wife handed me a black folder. In fact, this black folder, saying, "I think this is yours," and opened it, and lo and behold, all this stuff from that era came piling out of it. So I do now have it back in my possession. And you're absolutely right; it will get framed and put on my wall like my Starfleet.
And was that the happiest that she had seen you since the wedding day?
Very probably, yes. And this is what happens when you get far too many Trekkies doing the Star Trek trekking thing in I think that one was in Blackpool, actually. So that was at the Norbreck in Blackpool. That was Wolf in '97. So we had a whale of a time on that one. That was a good night. But it was funny because they often, although ostensibly a lot of these conventions were for Star Trek, Babylon 5 was actually had a massive momentum at that point, and the vast majority of the guests were Babylon 5 guests. And in fact, I think that one probably was more Babylon 5 orientated than the first one in '95. So I think I've completely forgotten about that one. That's Gene Roddenberry's wife. That's Majel Roddenberry, Majel Barrett, I think she turned out when she divorced him. But she was in both Star Trek and Babylon 5. Not uniquely, but she was. So anyway, I'll not bore you anymore with that. But from a collectibles point of view, got some nice magazines here, which were the original Babylon 5 magazines from back in the day, and they've got some nice images, and they've got some nice sort of take out photos in and of themselves in them as well. So it's quite a nice little sort of keepsake to have from back then. So I will turn it over to someone else now. Thank you for enlarging me.
Who's going next then?
You are.
I am. I'm going next, am I? How do I do this? That's
There
how
you
I do it. Okay, what do we go with then? Do we go with a toy, or do we go with a group of things?
We'll have that in there as well.
Right, we'll go with the group. And we'll start. My first gaming console that I bought for myself and I paid for on a monthly basis, was the Nintendo 64. And I got it a few weeks after launch, which was 1996, I think. 95 or 96? 96. And there was a game that came with the console. I got Super Mario 64, Super Mario World 64, and this.
Ah.
Yes, and at this point, I had never seen, read, or done anything remotely related to Star Wars.
Oh.
So
Fascinating.
this was... I often claim that the Tazos were my first into Star Wars, but when I think about it, it was actually this game. And
Wow.
Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, it opens during the Battle of Hoth. And you're in a snowspeeder, and you have to take out, I think it's 3 probe droids. You move on from that. Yes, one of those. And you move on to the second part of that level. You take out, I think it's 4 probe droids and 2 ATST scout walkers. Then you've got a couple of attacks, scout walkers, and probe droids to take out in the third part of the level. And
Sensing a
I
theme.
have no idea what on earth any of this was. This is weird, is this? What a load of rubbish this is. So the first level is that, it's the flying level, and then you have to run around Hoth. And I end up killing these Wampers that I had no idea what a Wampa was. And it all comes from that game. And it was not long after that I then started collecting the Tazos from the Walker's Crisps. But yeah, but Shadows of the Empire wasn't just a video game. It was everything relating to a motion picture release without the motion picture. So I don't have any toys with me to show because what I've got from that are all packed away. But when you get... I've just realised there's another item downstairs. Never mind. There was the novelisation, which is on the shelf downstairs. Which... This told the story of Dash Rendar, who was very much a Han Solo type character. The story in the book was more along lines of following the adventures of Luke and Leia and a little bit of Dash Rendar.
Right.
Then you also got the comic series, which told the tales of the bounty hunters, Boba Fett, IG-88, and during that story. And when you put them all together, you got a complete story. And it was just really, really cool. This is when Star Wars were getting it right. This was absolutely fantastic. This was when Star Wars were getting it right. And people liked this so much that it got its own sequel, which took place a year or so later, I believe. But they even went as far as creating a soundtrack for
Wow.
a film that didn't exist. And as you can see, that artwork there is the same artwork as what's on the cover of the novel.
Right.
And it's by the absolutely prolific movie poster artist, Drew Struzan.
It does look very much like a proper Star Wars film movie.
Drew Struzan did the posters for the special editions.
Makes sense.
He did the original, the Return of the Jedi poster, where it's the big sort of like bright red pop art with the shadow of Vader's helmet and the silhouette of Luke and Vader having a lightsaber fight. And I think the original version of that was the Revenge of the Jedi. And I've gone blurry again. Hello. There we go. So yeah, the only thing I haven't got to show you is the figures and the novelisation, because I was literally running around 10 minutes before we went live looking for these all over the house. The game, though, because that's where I started with this. Have you ever played it?
I have not played it. No, I was a GoldenEye boy. I did. Oddly enough, the Nintendo 64 was also the first console I ever owned.
Really?
Yeah, because I was a computer boy up until that point. But I got a Nintendo 64 second hand because having worked in a game store part time in 97, 98, we were all completely addicted to GoldenEye, and I had to get an N64 at my house after that because it would have been rude not to. And then I got into Zelda as well, so that was obviously
the Ocarina of Time. Well, I almost showed that instead of this.
Yeah.
Well, this game. I completed it goodness knows how many times without realising. The very last level, you're playing as Dash Rendar in his ship, which is the Outrider, which is almost like a Millennium Falcon sideways. And the idea is you die at the end. You're trying to get out of... On screen, it looks like you're coming through the inside of the Death Star. It's not the Death Star, it's a skyhook above Coruscant. But you're coming out from the insides after just blowing it up and you're trying to escape. Well, I died. So I pressed reset because I didn't want to have to sit through everything. Press reset, start again. Died. Press reset, start again. I did it over and over again. Okay. I got angry and threw my controller. A couple of weeks later, I thought, I'm going to try this again. And again, repeatedly, I kept dying. And on the final occasion, I launched my controller across the room, sat back, hands on my head. I'm like, screaming and roaring at the ceiling. And then I leaned forward again, and the game's carrying on. What's going on here? Oh, you're meant to die at the end of the game.
A bit of expectation subversion there, yes.
Yes, and that's why he's not in Return of the Jedi, because you die before it starts. However, he does pop up at the end of the sequel, and it never really tells you how he survived.
Escape pods are wonderful things.
Yeah. There he is at the end of the sequel. What? So there we are. That's my first foray into my collection. Over to you now, Ed.
Oh, right then. Where to start? I'll tell you what. Let's have a look in a little box of tricks down here.
If this is a Spectrum game, I'm removing him.
Yeah, it's not. I'll keep the Star Wars thing going.
Okay, good luck.
And let me just get these out.
I like it, Benjamin. I like it.
And it is nothing special really, but I suppose it's a bit special to me. Being of a certain vintage, I grew up with Star Wars, and all of my Star Wars collection was given away to my nephew by my dad. I think I'd have been maybe 18 or something like that, 19. So other things were on my mind at the time, so it didn't really register. But the one things that I do still have are...
Hey, that's in good nick from the looks of it.
3PO and an R2, but not just a 3PO and an R2.
R5?
Hey.
R5.
Death Star Droid as well.
Death Star Droid's a bit gnarly. His chroming's not great in places, but then also it's Stormtrooper.
Proper Stormtrooper. Cool.
Did you say these are yours, or the ones that you've reacquired?
I think the Death Star droid, I think, is reacquired. You know, I don't honestly know. I think they are. I think they might. I'm pretty sure the R2 and 3PO are mine.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
They
mean,
are.
from what I've seen of them, you'd probably be doing really well to get them that minty looking for reasonable money. I mean, you know, if you'd reacquired them, you'd have paid to the nose for that, wouldn't you, Gareth?
Yeah. They don't come too cheap nowadays.
I mean,
Especially
they've been
first versions.
they've been packed away in boxes for years. I've been rummaging around over the past few weeks, kind of like pre-planning things that I want to talk about. The stuff that I was going to choose to talk about tonight, I couldn't be asked getting out this week, so that might have to go on for another couple of weeks, you know, in another fortnight or so. But I mean, so is them. So just sort of like playing hours as a kid with these. But yeah, all the original stuff had gone, and you know, they're just my. It's interesting, really, because as a kid, I mean, I know everyone loves R2 and 3PO and stuff like that, but R5 was always my favourite. I always loved R5. You know, just maybe it's because it was red, you know, red and white. I don't know, but
Red goes faster.
pardon?
Red goes faster.
Yeah, red goes faster. Yeah, but yeah. So, and I mean, I've had different versions of them over the years. I've had, you know, like, you know, when they've re-released them in different, you know, vintage lines or whatever. You know, when they've, you know, different Star Wars figures and, you know, different releases and things. But they've all gone. You know, so I'm just left with these now. The only other two that I do have left, where's the guns for them? From, well, I won't say a newer line, but a newish line, because they're still, God knows how old they are now. Let me just put the guns. Get the guns.
Biker Scout.
Got superposable Biker Scout. So that'll be from. When's that from, Gareth?
Was that the one that was on the Battlefront card? The only figure that was ever released on that packaging?
Pass. I ain't got a clue.
Oh, let me.
But he's bendy all over. You know, his ankles tilt and bend, his knees, his waist, his head's on a ball joint, his arms and stuff like that all swivel and turn round. And then the other one is the superposable Stormtrooper.
Cool.
Which
Was it that one?
no, it looks like that figure, but I don't know if it came on that card. That card doesn't look familiar to me.
It doesn't. Okay.
I know it never came with a rifle. It just came with his little ankle gun.
Yeah, because they only tend to have pistols, didn't they, in the film?
Yeah, his little pistol in his boot there. What's this? Oh, and then I've got a fabric Jawa cape. I don't know why I've got a fabric Jawa cape. Oh, that's why, because as luck would have it, I was rummaging around the attic and I found an original Palatoy vinyl cape Jawa still sealed on the card, which was nice.
Of course.
And then you retired.
Yeah, then I retired. So yeah, that's my. I mean, it's not really that interesting or, you know, remarkable, but yeah, they're my little Star Wars figures from when I was a kid, and they were loved and played with, and it's all that's left of a much larger collection that I had. You know, things like AT-ATs, Millennium Falcon, Rebel Transport, X-Wing. I had pretty much most of the mini rigs.
Had some, yeah.
You know, the Cap 2, the Int 4, you know, all those, the little Hoth tank, the little radar dish thing that you press the button and it splits apart. And Snow Speeder, Tauntaun. Well, I actually had 2 Tauntauns. My first Tauntaun didn't have an opening belly, but then my second one did. Scout Walker, little chicken leg thing.
ATS.
But most of those I got on. I don't recall getting any vehicles on Jedi boxes. They were all like either Star Wars or.
Mark, the expert is in the Jesus.
Oh. So it was.
I
Yeah.
was there. I was beginning to think he'd passed away. Oh,
We have music.
yeah, I
music.
realised I forgot to put it on. Normally we have it playing in the background.
Just background music at the start as well. Is that not a hint?
Is that it? We're on end credits already. So that's just my little my little Star Wars original Star Wars bits that I've got left. I've got other stuff. I mean, I've got a few of the Black Series stuff now, and I got the I haven't got them out, but I got the Bandai kits, the figure ones, so like Stormtroopers, Fett, Vader, and things like that. And the droids, the droids are much better than the Black Series droids. They're a lot more detailed and the scale a lot better with the Black Series figures. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know about, because I think there's a new R2 Black Series coming out, isn't there?
There is.
But I know all the previous Black Series R2s they've seemed to have been a bit too big.
I think I don't know if they're too tall, but they seem to be too fat, too wide.
Yeah, but the Bandai, the Bandai kit 3PO and R2, they're just absolutely spot on scale wise. And they also look a lot cleaner and sharper as well than the Black Series stuff. But conversely,
Bless you, Mark.
what were it now? Conversely, the new Black Series Stormtroopers are a lot better than the Bandai kit Stormtroopers. They just look and feel a lot better. But yeah.
Hello, Rolando.
But that's me.
Very
Anyway,
kind of you.
Those about nearly the only 2 that I've got left of my original collection. That's about it.
I had those. Yeah, I had those.
Go on, then.
The
Is that what you're showing?
The only little spaceship I've got left now is that.
Oh, very cool.
The Orville. Yes. I have that downstairs, I believe. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
For Star Trek fans who know good Star Trek.
Say no more, sir. Say no more.
Yes.
Damn us all to hell.
Damn you all to hell.
So, I believe we're now back over to you, Andy.
Where
Right. Well, I will therefore stick with the action figure theme.
Okay.
And the theme I was also on previously. Ta! Even Ivonova. Probably not massively articulated, but I'm not getting her out of her box, quite frankly. This is an example of one of the very, 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 very few pieces of merchandise that they did for Babylon 5 back in the day. And it's unusual in the sense that you get this Star Fury ship with her, because the only other way that you could get ships for Babylon 5 back in the day was to get these.
I was just going to say, is that a micro machine that's been repackaged?
No, this one is bigger. I've never actually got them out.
Okay.
But the ones that come with this are bigger, and they also include some that weren't released as micro machines as well.
Okay.
So I think the only way you can get a white star is by getting Marcus. I think the figure is that's got it with it. But the actual figure is not badly done at all. She's quite well detailed. That's in her Earth Force uniform, and she's pretty good.
Who were they?
So she's got a ponytail there as well. You can just about see it on my camera.
Who made them?
It is there. So they were quite. Who made them? Warner Brothers Toys exclusive premiere. There's not a lot of detail beyond that, to be honest. I'll show you the distributed by Exclusive Toy Products Inc. That's the back. So there was quite a range of them, and they're not terribly expensive to source either. But I don't see them around very often in shops at all. It's tended to be eBay source when I found them. Although I did have a local shop who did have a few, and that in fact that was completely out of character for the said local shop as well, bizarrely. But anyway, but it's quite good. I mean, interestingly, the photo on the back is wrong compared to what the figure actually is, so that's a bit silly of them. They goofed a couple of times on that one, but
contents may vary.
Well, yes, quite. So, but nevertheless, the packaging is in good shape. I've got a couple of those, and they also did some strange sort of doll-sized ones as well, where they had more sort of cloth clothes on them. You've had those, yeah. I thought you might have seen those. But these guys, I've got a full collection of. That took some doing, but I can't remember why I ended up with a spare. But that's a War Cruiser, a Star Fury, and a Centauri Transport. But they're quite nice. They've got the little stands that they go on as well. So I've hung on to that one, and I've had sort of German versions of these. And again, you've got quite there are a few in the range.
I do. I love them.
But that was it. That was really damn it in terms of what they actually released at the time. So it's quite easy to collect them because there aren't that many of them.
If you find it helpful, the figures I found out are made by Exclusive Premiere. That's the name of the company.
That's what it says on the box. Yeah.
What a strange name for a company.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Is that right? That seems a bit generic. But anyway, yes. Let's take two random dictionary words, stick them together, and we'll call ourselves that.
And a lot of them seem to be Previews exclusive. Previews exclusive did a lot of them.
Yes, I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, somebody clearly picked up the license at the time. So, you never watched the Orville?
Never watched Babylon 5.
I don't know. The chat was talking about the Orville, so it might be in the Orville.
Which have you never watched, Mark?
Clarification is required.
I think he's watched the Orville. I'm fairly sure he's watched the Orville. Calls himself a sci-fi fan. He's never watched Babylon 5.
Well, do you know what? This is actually a video I might do at some point.
Eddie hasn't, though. I don't think Eddie has he?
I've seen sporadic episodes of the first series when it very first came out.
Ed's denied all knowledge of the later shows, I believe. Yes,
but it's like it was all. I'd remember it being okay. I'd remember at the time feeling it was very Star Trek derivative.
All the way around.
That's like a red rag to a bloody bull, that statement.
I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm pretty sure Star Trek came before Babylon 5.
It was pitched to Paramount, and they said, sorry, we've already got something in the works. So he went elsewhere to make it, and then following that, Deep Space Nine came out. They ripped off Babylon 5.
Right.
Yeah, Babylon 5, had it not been delayed, would have been out of the stocks before Deep Space Nine.
Right.
So yeah.
And they even went so
far. How much longer did DS9 come out after Babylon 5?
How do you mean? What, in terms of number of series, or
no? I mean, how long after Babylon 5 premiere did DS9 premiere?
Well, no, if it got flipped, Babylon 5 would have been out earlier, but Deep Space Nine just got out earlier. So people often assume it's the other way around, but it wasn't, because.
So it's quite possible then that Paramount were already on and working on DS9. That's why they passed on Babylon 5.
Well, I've just read JMS's autobiography, so I know exactly what the crack actually was. And basically, in sort of 92, 93, he'd been touting Babylon 5 to various studios for quite a long time, for a number of years. And what happened was that originally it was going to go out on just one of them, but then the studios split and they launched 2 new studios. So Warner Brothers took Babylon 5 on for them, and Paramount said, "Oh, hang on, we saw that Bible the other day. Let's take that for ours." So when you can actually compare Deep Space Nine and the pilot for Babylon 5, changelings in both, or at least people who can change their appearance in both set on space stations, both set in sort of warlike situations, lots of aliens on board, both hub where lots of people gather, next to a method for intergalactic travel, very conveniently, near to a planet, tick. All sorts of similarities when you actually compare it side by side. And apparently Walter Koenig actually told JMS that he gave him a heads up to say, just be aware that Paramount are doing this, it's incoming. So, because they were friends before he was involved with Babylon 5, clearly. So there is definitely a rather sort of tortured bit of history, but it was just classic studio wrangling at the time. And that's what could have sort of really sort of kiboshed it. But I think it's basically its figures held up, and they needed an answer to Star Trek, because a lot of people who they showed it to thought that only Star Trek could exist at that point in time. But they convinced them that they could do it much cheaper than Star Trek by using CGI, which of course they did.
Right.
So the Star Trek's budget was vastly bigger than Babylon 5's, but they pulled it off anyway. So, and they got more money as they went, so things do sort of improve as it goes along, and ultimately DS9 also adopted the sort of the story arc concept which Babylon 5 had from its infancy, pre-planned. And you sort of start to see that they kind of start to shoehorn that in more into Deep Space Nine as well as time goes on. But originally it was very much Star Trek, in a bottle sort of episodes, all the time. But it's really, really interesting, and it's just a miracle JMS managed to get it made at all ultimately, and it got all 5 seasons as well. It nearly didn't make it for all 5, which is why it gets a bit compacted towards the end of the 4th, because he had to sort of cram it in. But
So I would have liked to have seen how that should have eventually gone. The original plan for 4 and 5, before he was told you're only going to get 4, squishing it, and then saying, "Oh, well, you're going to have a 5," and then tagging it on at the end.
Yeah. So season 5 is a little bit. The pacing is odd because you can tell in the first few episodes they're kind of scrambling to figure out how he's going to stretch it, basically. But it does manage it very well at the end of the day, and he did get to tell the story he wanted to tell. So fair dues to him.
So what's the status of Babylon 5 then at the moment? Is it? I don't mean this in a negative way, but is it a dead franchise? Is it that nothing's happening with it, or?
Well, quite ironically, quite the opposite. It turns out that for 20 years after it finished, and it had a spin-off series, it nearly had another spin-off series, various TV movies were done, and then everything just went quiet. And there was another couple of episodes released called The Lost Tales that they did in sort of 2000 to try and revive it. Didn't happen. But it turned out that for 20 years there was an executive at Warner Brothers who just blocked everything to do with it because he didn't like it. That guy just retired. Now we've got a new animated movie, The Road Home, which features as many of the still alive voice cast as they could get their hands on, and everybody did it who was living. Virtually everyone who was living voices their original characters in this new animated movie, and with their permission, they've got other people in to do the deceased actors' voices.
Yeah,
and
I've just realised. I started rewatching Lost from the beginning.
Yes.
And there's a character in there called Rousseau, the woman that's on the island.
And
I've been thinking, I know her from somewhere, and it's just where I
Yeah.
know her from.
5.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
got the thingy head.
So yes,
Oh,
It's her. It's
it
her.
is her. Yes.
Yeah, it's just literally come to me now. It's like, yeah, that's where I've seen her from.
Yeah. Sadly, she's passed away now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, she. Would you believe, of all things, I think she got a complication from, of all things, I believe, mosquito bite in America.
Right.
Just insane. They've had such bad luck with the
Right.
You know, you get Star Trek Picard, and they're all still around, and we've lost Franklin, we've lost Garibaldi, we've lost Sinclair. You know, with a lot of we've lost Jakar. A lot of the cast are gone, but those who remain do pop up on the podcast and stuff as well, which is nice from time to time.
Well, I mean, we've still got Bruce Boxleiter anyway.
Yeah.
We've got Tron. Still got
Yep.
Tron. But yeah, I think Andreas Katsoulis, he was one of the first to go, wasn't he? He died. I think he died not long after Fugitive movie came out. So that
I mean, he loved his cigars and his and such like did Andreas apparently. And I think that was what did for him in the end.
Yeah.
He was terrific in it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The bits of Babylon 5 I remember are all surrounded by his character and him.
Yeah, and it only gets better. It only gets better. I mean, there are some incredible scenes with him and Peter Jurassic later in the series. You know, it's really, really terrific. They did a hilarious sketch on stage at the conventions that I was at as well, where Jameis was playing a practical joke with them, basically, where he made out that Jakar was going to have a sex change, and then Londo and Jakar were going to get it on. They acted this out on stage.
Yeah, and then there was is it Stephen First played a character called Lanier? What it?
No, he played Veer.
Veer, that's it.
Yes.
The one with the funny
Veer
bald head and the funny hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I first saw him in a film called Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal House.
That's what he's known for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it? What was his character name? Do you remember?
It's called Flounder.
Flounder. That's the one. Yeah.
Flounder. Yeah. Also had Kevin Bacon's first movie appearance that film as well, and Thomas Hulse, who went on to play Mozart in Amadeus.
There he is.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
That's the one. Quite a young one there as well, bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Silly hairstyle.
Well, it was indicative of their status in Centauri culture, you
Right.
see. So the bigger the hair, the more important you were.
Right, and then there was that. Was it a robot or something? Just like a robot head on a big cloak.
Vorlons.
That used to
The
just walk
Vorlons.
around.
Yes, the Vorlon.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the visuals more than I do anything of the storyline. You know, so but I do remember. Was Bruce Boxleiter there in it from the beginning, or was he the one that came in to replace the
He
original?
came in season 2.
Second season.
Right, I must have seen some season 2 episodes then, because I remember Bruce Boxleiter.
There he is, Johnny Sheridan.
Yeah, I remember Bruce Boxleiter. I remember seeing some episodes with him in it. But yeah, but no, I may get around to watching it at some point. But I probably won't. If it's not on telly, if it's being shown on telly, I might tune into it and watch some. Or is it on any of the stream services?
It has been of late, yes. It was on HBO, but I think it's moved off it now. Is it on? Is it 2V or something? It is around in places. I might be. I know someone who's got some box sets in his shop.
I'm not going to be hand in my pocket to watch it.
They're going on loan to someone this week.
Okay.
I'll head to the high seas and see.
I could always loan you. I could always loan you mine.
Yeah.
So,
It's on Tubby.
Yeah, they're going on
Something
loan
like
to. They're going on loan to Gene.
Oh, is Gene watching them?
Gene wants to watch them, so next time he pops into the shop, he's going to be collecting them, because they're my copies. And having watched them, I think 3 times, I figured that I've seen enough of them. But as time goes on, it's like, I don't mind watching them again.
The one that I do want to watch again, which I can do now because it's on Disney Plus, is Angel.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good Angel.
For
Quite
a
enjoyed
couple
Angel.
of months now, I've had a feeling of watching Angel again because I really enjoyed the Caritas storyline where they first meet Lorne.
Yeah.
You know, the realm that he's from.
I think if it is Torchwood, I compare it to Buffy to Angel, Doctor Who to Torchwood. It's kind of it's that little bit
Very much.
darker.
Very much.
Yeah, I mean, my bit of useless information about that. The character Lorne Green was called Lorne Green because his name's Lorne and Green because he's green. But it's also an homage to the actor Lorne Green who played Admiral Adama in the original Battlestar Galactica. And that's it.
Yes.
That's about as intelligent as I'm going to get tonight. So if you missed it, you've missed it.
So,
go on then, Gareth. It's you.
is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's him.
There we go. Hello. This is the one that's available in the shop. So I have quite a few of these available to buy. And I brought another one home because it's going to go in the cabinet. And we've gone blurry again.
Your autofocus is a bit random, isn't it, at the minute?
It's really, really weird.
Just cannot repel magnitude, awesomeness of your magnitude.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. So, I've literally just split the sellotape seals on this. I haven't opened this yet. Yes, it's a Godzilla.
We can see that.
And it's a miniaturized version of the Shogun Godzilla.
That was a reaction one, is it?
By Reaction, it's by Super 7. It's part of the Reaction figure range. But the one of the grail items for any Transformer Godzilla toy collector is what's called the Pickle, which is the Shogun Godzilla, bright green and looks like a big pickle. Eddie's disappearing for a bit. And that's quite cool. I like that. There he is inside his box. And yeah, this is just a miniaturized version of it. They have already released it in green. But they decided to cash in like they do these toy companies. We've made the mold. What else can we cream off this? Oh, a popular variant of Godzilla is the burning version. Let's make it in orange plastic.
Lovely.
But because it's a translucent orange plastic, I'm thinking it might look nice in the cabinet with the lights behind it.
Ah, yes.
Yes. You know, like this one seems to be glowing.
Like that one, yes.
That looks like it's glowing.
The disturbingly radioactive Godzilla in the background, yes.
So I'll lift him up so that we can see. It's 3 3/4 inches size, so about the size of your original Star Wars figures.
Hmm.
And fire!
Tongue in the films.
No, that's fire.
Oh, it's supposed to be fire, is it? Oh, I've got you. Okay,
Yeah,
got you.
burning Godzilla, that's his heat ray.
Right.
I'll do it with that hand, it might work better. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, I think he's pretty cool. We need to wait for Ed to come back because he likes his translucent plastic. He does. So yeah, if anyone wants to purchase one of these, it is available right now on cosmictoys.co.uk. That's what I'm here for. Yes, Ed, this one is something you might like because it's translucent plastic.
Very nice.
And he breathes fire.
Is that
know
what he's doing?
when you've been tangoed.
That's one of them
Tango
Godzilla
Godzilla.
toys, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a miniature version of the Shogun. I think it was Mattel that did the Shogun figures. I did have one. They are literally about that big, of the originals. And
What with a tongue action?
Yeah, they have a mechanism on the back like that, but that often breaks off on the original. You can see how it sticks out there.
Yeah,
It looks fragile on this.
that looks breaky.
Imagine it on 1978, I think. Plastic from that era. Breaky and brittle by now, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one for the cabinet. Let's get it in there. There we go. Let's see if he does light them. Well, not light them. You see, with a light behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't melt him.
Well, LEDs, they don't get very hot, do they?
Nah, should be right.
They don't get very hot. So I think we're back to you now, Eddie.
Oh, really?
That was a really, really good one for me, wasn't it?
It was. Right. Okay. Right. Oh, I'm gonna have to put all this lot away now. Are we ready? Have I got everything? Got it? Got everything? Yeah, that'll do. That'll do, Pig. Right, okay. This is one, but there's a few little different parts to it. I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm just rummaging through a box and picking stuff out. So, there aren't many stuff that I have left from my childhood, but there are one or two bits, and the things that I keep forgetting about and then keep remembering, especially when I like rummage around boxes and unearth stuff. So, I'll start off with one of them and then I'll move on to these other few little bits that comprise this one. But yeah, one thing from my very early childhood is this: a Magic Roundabout tricycle with
Cool.
Zebedee in there. But it doesn't work any well. It does, but it doesn't. It's very stiff. But if you yeah. There we go. But yeah, if you turn it around and Zebedee pops up out of the back there. It did used to have like a little flap that lifted up as he came out the back. But yeah, it's well worn and played with. I don't know his name. I've forgotten his name now, but yeah, he still trundles along. But that's my little Zebedee and tricycle guy from Magic Roundabout. I'm just
Was the Magic Roundabout quite political or something?
It's what? Sorry.
Wasn't the Magic Roundabout quite political or something like that? So that it had a sort of I don't know if it was controversial as such, but
It was French.
it was French, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was no. I think it was no.
Mr.
It was
McHenry.
no. It was originally written. I think it was originally filmed and written by a French writer. I don't know what the context or the content of it was in France. But it was when it came over, when it was brought over here. It was the actress Emma Thompson. It was her dad that wrote the stories for it and did the voices.
Right. Interesting.
When it came over here. What's that say? Mr. McHenry the Gardener. Is that what it's called? You Googled, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I've never seen an episode in my life.
You see, that's the thing about it. You see, that's why I used to prefer things before Google, because you had to take people's word. You had to go to a library and read a book.
Knowledge is valuable
I
in
will
those
take
days.
your word for it that you've forgotten his name, and I will supply it for you.
But there isn't a year on it. It just says Corgi. But it has the magic words on it, though, which used to mean something. Made in Great Britain. But,
I thought it's in one of my Corgi catalogues, if I could...
Yeah, maybe. And then the next part of my my one here is back in 1993, I got my favourite car ever. And I ended up having about five different versions of the same car over a period of a few years. I don't have the car left. I don't have the car anymore. It was sold off years ago, the last one that I had. But I do have a Matchbox version of it. And it's a Volvo 480. And that's... I have a loose one, but this is the boxed one that I have. The Volvo that I had, the actual real world one, was bright yellow. It was I had it sprayed 1974 Ford Mexico yellow. So that's my little keepsake of that. And again, I don't know what year this is. Let's have a look. Sorry, I haven't got my reading glasses, so I can't. No, there's no year on that box either.
Late 80s?
It's possible. It's possible, but I don't know. But yeah, MB69 is the code on it. But yeah, so that's that one. But my first car I ever got when I first passed my driving test in 1991, so many moons ago, it was a red Mini 1275 GT that I got. That was my first car. It was already 20-odd year old when I got it. I still remember the registration plate. It was PBK 539M was the registration plate on it. Had a sunroof on it, GB Minilight alloy wheels on it and that. But I have this little... this isn't a 1275 GT. This is just a normal standard Mini Cooper model. But a friend of mine that I went to college got me this years ago. And... I don't know. This is a. I think this was. Did they call them Carorama or something?
Carorama.
Yeah, I think that's what that one is. But this. But it's. This is back from. This would have been like mid-90s that I got this. Maybe about 94, 95-ish maybe that I got that. But that's my little keepsake to remind me of my Mini. And then. Obviously, 1989 was a good year for Bat fans, and this is the only vehicle that I've got left from '89. But it's the Micromaster Batmobile.
Oh, bless it!
Did you think? Oh, tiny little thing. So, I mean, obviously, you strain your eyes to see that, so you have to have the big boy. And that's
now,
which
flavour is that?
That's Hot Wheels, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Hot Wheels.
Oh, that's nice.
Hot Wheels Batmobile. Which...
We just watched a few of those go in auction a couple of days ago for £100 a piece.
Wow.
Really? Yeah,
That's more than the 29 quid we paid for them, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I mean, everything still works on it. I don't have the box anymore. There's no chips, no marks, no scuffs on it. It's still in lovely condition, but it will be because it just sits in a box, tucked away. You know, it doesn't get the chance to be out on display. But
beautiful model.
It's
lovely,
it's
that
gorgeous.
one. It really is. I've got a few. I've got a little one, and I've got a Toy Biz one which I picked up, not really knowing what Toy Biz was at that point in time. And I've got the big Lego one that sits on nearly an entire IKEA bookshelf to itself.
Yeah, sorry, there is one last thing. And then
It's one of the things that I regret selling.
And then this is the last thing now of this my second go around. Keeping up with the car thing. When I was probably about 4 years old, my dad made a car garage for me. In the garage, so like he got the plywood and he made it, and I remember he sort of like he had the I didn't know at the time he made it because I got it for Christmas, but he had like years later when he was cleaning stuff out in an old case he had this kind of like patterned paper, and it was brickwork paper and like roof slate paper, and it was what he made this garage with,
Right.
And I've got photographs of it, of me stood, really proud next to it and stuff like that. But unfortunately, all I've got left from it is an Esso petrol pump.
Oh, God, I had one of those.
That's all I've got left from it.
Wow.
It had 4 of them all in a row at the front, and it's even still got the little
pump. Yeah.
But that's
Wow.
that's all I've got. That's all I've got left from that. My little Esso petrol pump.
Very cool.
But yeah, we used to the local petrol station that we used to go to. Well, my dad used to go to. When he were working, it was just 2-star. When we went on holiday, it got 4-star. But it was national. I think what they call national garages, where you got the Smurfs. So every time he spent so much on petrol, he used to get a Smurf. And I do have them. Oh, as luck would have it.
As luck would have it. I magic.
Here they go. Mechanic Smurf.
Mechanic Smurf.
I loved my Smurfs when I was.
This is Space Smurf, but he's lost his helmet. And then we have. I don't know his name. Is it? I just used to always call him Secret Smurf. He's like doing that, and he's got a mask and a cape. But yeah, so those are only Smurfs I've got left from going to the petrol station and getting petrol with my dad. So yeah, there we go. That's my second lot done.
Second lot done. So back to Andy.
Yeah, I think I inadvertently burned through 2 of my previous ones. I'm probably down to 3 myself now.
Oh, right, okay.
So my last one, it's got a recurring theme here. Now, I still have this. I shouldn't really still have this.
Have you not built it?
No, because my cunning plan was to get somebody to build it for me who actually knows how to build them properly and paint them and things of this nature. But unfortunately, the guy had an eye operation. I think he's back doing them now, but I think he's got a bit of a list. So it may be a while before I get to send it off. But it's this, I think, was the first thing I ever procured from your good self, wasn't it, Gareth?
I was just going to say, you got that from a particularly fantastic shop, didn't you?
I did indeed, and it was an epic find in an epic shop, sir. Yes, because they are. I mean, they go for quite a lot on eBay now. Yeah, there aren't many of these left knocking around. But it's as you can see, it's got a really good stand in the box for it. So it would be a shame for me to do a completely cack-handed build of it, which it inevitably would be with me. I use about 5 times more glue than I ever need to when I'm doing these things, and painting it, forget it, no chance. So I need to outsource that one, but it's nice. It'll be a nice one to have when it does get done. I mean, he has threatened that he could put lights in it and stuff as well.
It would lovely. But how would you have it painted up? Would you have it painted up as Babylon 5, or would you have it painted up as Babylon 1, 2, 3, or 4?
No, because they're completely different designs, Gareth.
Are they?
Yes, Gareth.
I thought they were the same.
Babylon 4 was green. It was a completely different design to Babylon 5 because they had more money left back then. And it actually had engines at the back so it could move.
Right, I thought they just recycled the same digital model but with different colours.
No.
No, okay.
No, Babylon 4 looks a bit more like a Vorlon ship, actually, in some respects. Because its solar panels are kind of at the back, like petals at the back of flowers. It is very different.
I need to.
Which, as you say, it would have made, in a sense, you'd have thought they would have done exactly what you just said and just kind of try and recycle it. But I love the fact they just call it Space Station. It's like, no, that's Babylon 5. That is actually Babylon 5, people. It's not just a space station,
Yeah, but it'd look a bit funny on the box, wouldn't it? Babylon 5, Babylon 5.
I suppose so. Yeah.
It's like the box artist had a stutter. It's like...
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So how big is it when it's built, Andy?
I'd say it's about this big.
Right.
I don't actually. I'm just trying to find what it says about it. It's not telling me actually.
Right.
Well, not obviously anyway.
It's about what? It's about 18 inch, is it?
Yeah, I mean it's not massive. Oh, 428 millimeters. It says on the front. So that's 40 centimeters. That's about what, 14 inches maybe? No, that could be 18, couldn't it? That sounds about a ruler and a half.
16 inch.
16
I
inch,
have
yeah.
my draftsman's ruler here. 16 inch. There we go.
There you go.
You won't believe it if I tell you this, right? But I still use this ruler from time to time up against my computer screen when I'm measuring stuff, when I'm doing Photoshop work and stuff for lining stuff up. I mean, I know you've got grids at the side with it, but I still get it out from time to time, and I like that on the screen with it, you know.
Cool.
But, I mean, I still work in old money, though. So, that's a good model. So, yeah, give it a go yourself. It'd be right.
Trust me, I once tried with an aliens dropship, and it did not end well.
No.
In fact, I once tried with an alien, and it didn't end well. That's just black. So you know, it's like...
Or you could. I mean, have you got a
Calcium
small,
may
have you got a
work.
smaller model or something like that? I mean, won't Gareth be able to knock you up a 3D printed one?
Oh, I'm sure they're around. Yeah, I mean,
Not
there's
without
all
my
sorts of
3D
things.
printer's been operational, no.
Oh, they're not working.
Haven't been using them since before Christmas.
All right. Why? What's wrong with them?
I started having an awful lot of failures with them. I don't know if it was because it was so cold.
Right.
And since moving, I haven't even plugged them back in.
Right.
I haven't got anywhere safe to do any printing here. Because obviously the resin's quite toxic.
Right.
The fumes from it are not good. So
No.
I've not had them going here. I keep meaning to take them to the shop and put them up on the top floor. I'll give them a try there. Well, we'll see.
Right.
We will see. So I
Right.
suppose
It's back to you. It's back to you, Gareth.
isn't it? I mean, you get to look at my big head again. Right. Well, I do at Sunday plan on doing a video featuring this particular toy line. I've been threatening to do this since I started doing YouTube. That's gone well, hasn't it? So yeah, I've taken something out of this cabinet here.
Oh yeah.
It's the one that was a little bit higher up than the rest of them. And that's my Mighty Max shelf. It's the first ever Mighty Max. What was these particular sets called? Horror Heads?
Polly Pocket for
I know
boys.
nothing of this.
Polly Pocket for boys, that's right, yes. What were they called?
At least you bought Mighty Max and you didn't buy Polly Pocket.
Well, I've got a bag full of Polly Pockets at the shop, haven't I?
Yeah, but they're not yours, I hope.
No, they're not mine. No, they're not mine.
Good. Good.
But yeah,
Your man
Mighty-
card status is still secure.
Yeah, this particular set was called Mighty Max Escapes from Skull Dungeon. And yeah, just like a Polly Pocket, they open up. And inside there, you've got Science Lab. And it is Dr. Frankenstein's Science Lab.
Right.
And it does come with the little minifigures. It's complete.
Yeah.
So you get Max there in the middle. You get Dr. Frankenstein. That looks a little bit more like Igor or Hunchback, really. And you get a really cool, cute-looking Frankenstein monster.
Looks a little bit like what you get out of a Kinder Egg.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. The right time for him as well, really. And Frankenstein does indeed fit nicely onto his the little bed where he would have, or tabletop where it would have been made. Something that's usually missing from these as well are the electrodes things, because they do come out. Why they come out is quite beyond me. You'd think that those would be part of the mould, but they, are permanently glued
Well,
in.
they're different colours though, aren't they? So it's probably they probably need to
Well,
be a
there's a lot of different colours there, but none of the other
Yeah.
parts come out. So
Oh right, okay. Oh,
you
that's
might have
clear.
thought that they'd be glued in like the rest of them, but no,
Yeah.
they do come out and do go missing. But yeah,
Hmm.
I just think these are cool. They really speak to me. These turned out just as I was stopping playing with toys as a kid, so I never got them. I've mentioned before, Manta Force was my thing, which strangely enough, Bluebird Toys, and that's who made these. So it's the same brand,
Interesting.
and essentially those figures are the same size, pretty much, or very, very close to the figures that would have come with the Manta Force. And I think it's just the fact of the fantasy stroke horror. It's more the fantasy themes that speak to me, but they all tend to have a little bit of a horror crossover as well. Snakes and well, there's the man-eating shark there, the zombie hand. And I think they're great. They're not the same mold used over and over again in different colours though either. They are all.
They look very different. Fair dues. Yeah.
Every one is unique, and yeah, I found that popping back on here.
Do you know what popped into my head when you showed the Mighty Max figure in the middle there? I immediately thought it was Sport Billy. Are you familiar with Sport Billy?
He's a kid from another planet.
There he is. Yeah.
Yeah, Mighty Max doesn't have a bag that he can pull loads of.
No, apparently not.
Now, this did have an accompanying cartoon, which I don't think Manta Force ever had. I'm not sure if Polly Pocket had an accompanying cartoon. This did. I'm not sure how long it lasted. And I think the toy line probably lasted more. But I quite like these little display stands for them as well. I don't know if anyone else has cottoned on to them. They're just cheap mobile phone display stands. And they're about perfect for these heads. And then I just blue tack the figures to the front.
Yeah. Yeah, I use them. I use them for displaying my...
Yeah, I think that we had to get the Spectrum in there, didn't we, Ed?
It's all... You can't help, but it's there.
He didn't mention the name. All right.
So yeah,
It's them, yeah. It's them stand, just the like acrylic stands, aren't they?
yeah. Well, typically yours is bigger than mine.
They're not, I don't think.
I love the fact you're trying to compare things on the computer screens miles apart. It's like
I think you've probably got a tablet stand, haven't you?
that would seem to make
Well,
sense.
they were advertised on Amazon as some, I think, like a book stand or tablet stand or book stand or something
I think
like that.
I don't think that these would take the weight of the Spectrum, to be fair. I think
They're about 5 inch. You know, the vertical at the back is about 5 inch.
That's not. That's not. So yeah, that's my final piece for the night. I mean, I could go through all of them and show you all of them, but they're there. I don't want to get them all out. But that is a collection I am looking at expanding. So if there's anyone out there that's got any spare, let me know. Especially if you've got any spare little figures, because I keep coming across the play sets with the figures missing, because obviously they're the easy things to lose. But I don't want to buy incomplete. But if I can have a bag full of figures spare, I'll happily start buying incomplete ones to try and complete them. So yeah, Mighty Max, please, folks. Mighty Max. I'll put it back later. So yeah, that brings us to an end of show and tell. Is there anything else that we've got to chat about?
I've got a very random show and tell I can very quickly throw up here actually.
Oh,
you remember that black folder I had before?
Oh, here we go again.
Well, no, I'm actually going to go off topic now. Who can have a guess at where this is? Do you recognise any of them?
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg.
Is it Simon Pegg?
It is.
Is that from
It's very,
Space?
It's
Is it from
space.
Spaced?
Oh yeah, they're all from Space, aren't they? Yes.
They are. These are, I believe, reference shots from Spaced, original Polaroid type shots from Spaced. because it was one of my little phases I went through. So before Simon Pegg was an uber mega Mission Impossible guy, he did this little sitcom
before he
called
sold
Space.
out?
Mhm. And a group of space fanatics met up with him and Peter Serafinowicz, who I got to hold the lightsaber for me, in Camden. And somehow I came away with this, which I found randomly in this black folder, and I completely forgotten I had. But I'm guessing these are just sort of reference shots that they used for makeup or clothes or whatever, whilst they were filming the series. So completely sort of random oddity, but rather nice little thing to have of him before he's sort of climbed to mega stardom. And of course, Jessica Stevenson there has been in Doctor Who. In fact, Peg has as well.
Yes.
So they both have
In
post.
fact, Simon Pegg looked almost exactly like that in his episode of Doctor
Yes. Yes, he was quite bleached, wasn't he? Yeah, I remember.
Who. Yes. Strangely enough, I saw there was a meme popped up on my Facebook feed the other day, and it was an image of people that had been in Doctor Who before they were famous, and Simon Pegg was one of them. And I'm looking at this picture, and I'm like, no, he was in Doctor Who because he was famous. He was the guest star.
Yeah, it was the satellite upload episode thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was called
Yeah.
The Editor.
That's it. Yeah. Well, in the Chris Eccleston episode, was it?
It was. It was.
Yeah.
Yes. Where people's heads could open up.
Yeah. Because I sometimes mix that episode up with the Lazarus one.
Oh yeah.
That's David Tennant, is that? The Lazarus Experiment. Lazarus Experiment? I think it's Lazarus Experiment.
Yeah, it's got
Mark
thingy in it,
Gatiss.
hasn't it? Mark Gatiss, yeah.
Mattis Gatiss.
Yeah.
Gatiss.
Uh,
One of them. Yes, it's got him in there.
so do you want my third one?
Have we, we still got one? Oh,
Yeah, my third one.
oh right, okay.
Yep,
Come
go
on,
for it.
sir. Come
No,
on,
balls to you now.
get it out.
I'm taking my bat and ball home. See ya.
Come on, get it out. Come on.
Apologies.
How rude.
It's been ready for this one, hasn't it?
Can you guess what it is yet?
No. No idea.
Not a clue. So I've been getting a bit bored with socials lately, on internet and things like that. So I've been spending a little less time online over the past few weeks. I've got back into reading again, so it took the opportunity to start reading through my Hitchhiker's Guide books again. So I'm currently probably about a third of the way through The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, and I've got the other 3 here to finish off. But this was a set that I got for Christmas a few years ago from the kids, which had that, and where are they?
I'm missing my some of my old ones. Actually, I need to replace them. They look like quite a nice set. Those.
Yeah, well, wasn't it originally conceived as a trilogy in 4 parts, and there ended up being 5 of them?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Something like that.
Yeah, they came with the matching audiobooks as well.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So they all match, which for someone like me is awesome. 'Cause I do like things to match. Where's the other one? Yeah, so long, thanks for all the fish. I'm mostly harmless.
Mostly.
So I've been reacquainting myself with that because I remember this is where the story lies in it as well. I can remember watching the original one when it first came out on the TV when it went back in the day, and I loved it. It was just like I don't think I fully got it, but I think I got it enough for it to make me chuckle and to like it, enjoy it, watching it and that. And I do have it on DVD, which you've got at the moment, Gareth, because I lent it you. Yeah.
Have I got that?
Oh, don't worry.
Really, when that happens.
I keep a spreadsheet of all the stuff I've lent out, so I know who's got what and when.
Okay.
And I put a date on as well when they got it. So yeah, because you've got that, and you've also got my copy of Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
Yes, I've got that. I
Yeah.
didn't realise I had Hitchhiker's Guide as well.
Yeah, you got Hitchhiker's Guide as
I
well.
was
because
literally just going to say, I need to watch that as
yeah, well, you've got it. You've got my copy.
Did he make
'Cause I
oxygen
also,
from rocks on Mars?
it's what?
Did he make oxygen from rocks on Mars? Robinson Crusoe
Yeah,
on
it was like a pond pool kind of thing, and he gets oxygen from. And then there's plants that he eats, and the plants are kind of like sausages. And he has his monkey.
Okay.
Adam West is in it. It was one of Adam West's first film
Brilliant.
appearances, but he gets killed off early on in the film.
Phil.
You what? Sorry,
Phil.
film.
Yeah.
What are you about film?
Oh, right, you're talking about the Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, Robinson Crusoe.
Right,
on Mars.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's the film. Yes, there's
I thought you
oxygen.
were
There's
talking
like-
about Hitchhikers.
No. But bringing it back to Hitchhikers, again, I haven't got the photographs around at my mum's house, but when I was a kid, we were on holiday one year in Cornwall, and we went to a place called Carlisle Bay, which is just outside St Austell. And this particular day that we were there, they were there filming The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it was the scene where they're in one of the escape pods and they crash land on the planet, and the escape pod is washed up on the shore of a beach. And, you know, all the actors were there and this lot. And I can remember, I forget the actor's name who played Arthur Dent, but he was there and he was in the dressing gown and he was just soaked through and that lot. And I was just stood there watching it, you know, just watching him doing whatever they were doing. Not really registering at the time, but then I think that would have been in the summer. And then I think it was like the following spring when it came out, watching it. And it was like, that's that thing I saw them making.
Brilliant.
You know, so that's my little story behind the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But yeah, so I'm currently making my way through the books, and it's quite interesting, really, because I've not read them for years. But it's quite interesting to realise that when you watch the Hitchhiker's Guide TV show, or when you get round to watching it, Gareth, it's like it's not the stuff that's in it's not just from the first book. There's like little bits from like the Hitchhiker's Guide and then the Restaurant at the End of the Universe.
Yes, it covers both, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of like compress it. But
Yeah.
I also
To do the radio play first.
pardon?
Am I not meant to do the radio play first?
No, well, I did send you. I sent you a copy of. I sent you an MP3 of the radio play as well.
You did.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I would say read the book first,
Okay.
and then do the radio play, then do the TV show.
Hmm.
But if you haven't got access to the book, then yeah, do the radio play, then go into the TV show. And I mean, it may be frowned upon by hitchhikers around the world, but I do actually quite enjoy the movie version as well. It's similar but different enough to make it enjoyable in and of itself. You know, it's the
modern version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the modern version. Yeah. And there's a few nice little tidbits in there as well. I mean, you see the original Marvin on Vogosphere waiting in the queue, you know, in the admin office. You've got the original actor that played Arthur Dent. He's the security hologram for Magrathea. You know, so you have all these legacy actors, if you want to call them,
really nice.
that crop up in the movie. You know, so. But yeah, it's something I'd recommend if no one's read it or watched it or anything like that. It is it's good, especially the original TV series. You know, it's very sort of like it's typically BBC of the time. You know, like the late 70s, early 80s. You know,
When it was good.
Pardon?
When it was good.
No, it is good. Yeah, but it's also
When the
it's
BBC
also-
was good.
It's very
It's also
British
quite-
humour as well.
Yeah, it's also quite crappy, but it's good. You know, it's like it's that
Yeah.
same. It's the same thing with like the Doctor Who of the period. it was good, but it was a little bit crappy as well. But that bit of crappiness did make it good. You know. It's what? Sorry, go.
It made it what it was.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I mean, I don't know the particular episodes, but I do believe Douglas Adams also did write some for Doctor Who as well.
He did. He did City of Death and Sharda, which is one that never got completed.
Right.
Can I also drop a recommendation in here?
Go on.
All right, yeah.
The deeper, it doesn't have to be the deeper meaning of Lif. It can just be the meaning of Lif as well. But my original meaning of Lif got lost. This is by Douglas Adams and John Lloyd. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's basically a dictionary of words for which there are no words. So to give you an example, Dunboyne, the realization that the train you have patiently watched pulling out of the station was the one you were meant to be on. Or indeed, Eads, these sludgy bits in the bottom of a dustbin underneath the actual bin liner. And it's basically a book full of stuff like that, for which there are no words, but there ought to be, and they provide them. And it's all done in a very, very entertaining fashion, with illustrations in this version of it as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good, does that?
It's very, very, very funny.
Yeah.
It's not terribly long, but it is hilarious.
But I mean, the thing is,
he also did another Doctor Who called Pirate Planet.
All right, Pirate, yeah.
Pirate Planet.
Right. But yeah, when I'm reading these books, as I've been reading them, what I do find interesting as well is that I'm reading them and I'm hearing the voices of the actors from the original BBC TV series. You know, so it's like, you know, the voice of the book, it's that bloke's voice, you know, and then Ford Prefect and then, you know, and Zaphod, it's all their voices and that. And, you know, obviously Sandra Dickinson, you know, from, you know, Mrs. Peter Davidson.
That's right, yes.
You know,
when she's calling down the probability factor as they sort of go back towards normal space. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. But I mean that's an awesome connection, isn't it? That David Tennant is married to the daughter of the Doctor.
Yes, and she played
his daughter.
His daughter in, and that's when they met, isn't it? As well.
Yeah,
that's the time they met. I think
yeah.
he's in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty bizarre, isn't it? It's a funny old world.
So yeah. But that's my last one.
Can't imagine how much bother I got into if I married one of my daughters.
Yeah, but that's not really his daughter.
It is.
No,
it's just his daughter from a younger self.
But then again, technically speaking, it isn't really his daughter. It's kind of a clone of him, isn't it?
Yes.
Marrying your clone.
That's still odd. Marrying your clone. You know, like with Boba Fett and Django. You know, Boba's not really his son. It's his clone. You know,
it's an unmodified clone, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, it's you know, as Bo-Katan rightly points out, you know, when she says "my dad," you know, says "my father," he says, "Don't you mean your donor?" And it's like, well, you know, she's been a bit bitchy, but she's got a point.
Good point. Yeah.
It depends on your perspective, doesn't it? I think it takes a little bit more than having sex and putting a bun in the oven to make a dad.
It helps.
I think the raising of the child is far more important than donating a seed.
But within the context of that, that's what she's getting at, and he's meaning, you know. Because,
that's the jibe she's making at, but he was raised by Django as his son, so
And on that bombshell,
I've always felt that. Andy disappeared for a second. Then on mine, you went black screen for a second. Then.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was being represented by Netflix momentarily.
Yes.
Well, my Virgin Media disappeared for virtually the entire day on Sunday, so yeah.
Oh, wow. How was life without the internet?
peaceful and calm, actually. Well, I had to laugh because my dear son immediately created a hotspot on his mobile phone and ran the telly off that instead. So fair dues to him, though. Initiative.
Yes. Yeah, we all do that now. The times when we're out in the car, because I'm the passenger, I will do a hotspot on my phone and carry on working on the website while in the passenger seat.
I was going to say, hopefully not whilst you're driving it, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Can't do the indicating.
No, quite. It was laughing at me for getting David Prowse to sign something the other day. That was also in my black folder.
Oh, right. Who laughed at you for that?
You lot did, because I had my Thrawn book was signed by him, and you were chuckling that I had David Prowse sign it, remember?
Right, yes. Yeah.
David Prowse, one eye's going to shop, others on its way home with change.
Him, there, see?
I'm your father, Luke.
I've got the very same picture at the shop signed by him.
I think there's probably quite a few of those around.
Yeah, it's at the top of the first flight of stairs.
Ah.
Oh, if you're going to do signatures.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. Saturday swap shop.
God,
Wow.
I hope and pray that no allegations come out towards him.
Oh, Noel Edmonds.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there will be. I don't think he's a nonce.
No. Last week with all the Hugh Edwards things, I was like, please don't be Noel Edmonds. Please don't be Noel Edmonds. Please don't be Noel Edmonds.
I mean, it's a funny thing. Is the signature one? I mean, I do have a few. I've got a Kevin Conroy one, which Gareth kindly got for me years ago from a convention. That's framed and in that's over there somewhere. But I don't have many. The signature thing. I used to have a couple when I was younger. I used to have Gary Davis's of all people.
Ooh.
I got from a Radio 1 roadshow down in Cornwall. But I do have, if you have a moment, I do have.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
I did get a few. Oh, he's back. He's back.
I have a tube.
Tube?
A tube. A tube.
Tube.
And in this tube is... So I have this. And this is Bob Budiansky.
Very cool.
Ah.
And
Yes, nasty critters.
yeah, the scraplets. That was Andy got me that one from
Andy?
Auto Assembly.
Not me.
That would be Andy. Not you, Andy, another Andy.
Yeah.
But then more recently, there's a new Transformers convention started in Birmingham that happens in May. TFUK.
TFU.
Sorry.
I thought you said
TFUK Con or something. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, and Ross picked me up. This one is Mr. Simon Furman.
Ah, yeah.
So that's from the it's the US release comic cover is that one.
Right.
But that's from when Ratchet and Megatron end up merging. But yeah, that's
Merged.
Simon
Yeah.
Furman.
Is that
And
did
then
he,
the
go
other one,
did he knock him into the space bridge or something? Was that what happened with that?
he sent himself off into the space bridge because he couldn't accept the fact that he couldn't accept. Everyone were telling him that Prime was dead, that it killed him, and he couldn't accept it. He says, no, he's not dead, and he ended up destroying space bridge and disappeared for a while. And then the last one is this one, and this is Andrew Wildman.
Ah. Oh, is that the Dreamwave Prime?
It's similar. It's not quite, but it's similar to it. But then, so that's me. That's 3 of 4 that I want. The last one that I want. Well, actually, there is a few more. There's like I won't mind Mike Collins. You know, some of the ones from the early UK Transformers Marvels comics. But the last of the 4 that I want is Jeff Senior. Old Jeff Seniors.
I've just seen he's doing some, isn't he? At the moment, he's doing
Is he?
some A2 maybe size
Right.
ones or something like
Yeah.
that, which are just prime, prime. You know, like
Right.
But yeah, I think he does commissions as well.
Right. So yeah, so
I
that
loved
would be
his
my,
artwork. His artwork was absolutely the stuff I really loved seeing, and had Death's Head
Yeah.
and Dragon's Claws as well. That he did
Yeah.
the Inks Force, great stuff. Loved his work.
It is, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're all good, but I mean, it's like, you know, everyone seems to have a hard on for Andrew Wildman, and his stuff is good, and I do like his artwork. But growing up reading the comics, I did prefer Jeff Senior's because I just felt that Jeff Senior drew them more robotic, if you will. Andrew Wildman was always very soft shapes and like quite fluid, you know, and you know, it's good. I'm not knocking it because I mean, you know, I can't draw, you know, but you know, it's just that those were the comics that I preferred with you know, Jeff Senior's artwork.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
and I mean, there were some iconic stories. I mean, the ones where, you know, with Ultra Magnus and Galvatron fighting, you know, there's some really good iconic issues.
I've got Andrew Wildman on my Facebook friends list.
Me too.
Yes. I don't particularly interact with him.
Well, it's because you're such a massive Transformers fan.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah.
That's not all he does. In fact, his more recent posts have been about something else that he's doing.
This wasn't what
I know he posts a lot of sort of like, you know, like politically slanted stuff and things
Yes,
like
he
that
does.
as well.
Yes.
He supports quite a few causes.
Yeah, that's what turns me off from him, to be honest with you.
Right.
That wasn't what I was looking for, but
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, from the that's the 86 annual, is it? Yep, that's the 86 annual. That just hold that up again, Andy. Believe it or not, yeah, that is my favourite piece of Transformers artwork. That cover. Yeah, that cover, that one, and this one.
oh yes, I remember that. Yeah,
That's
Got
on
that
the
one there as
inside.
well.
That's on the inside of that 86 annual. That's on the inside cover.
You're right, it is.
You see. But yeah. So yeah, those two are my favourite. Out of all the almost 40 years of Transformers, those are my two favourite pieces of artwork.
It's more than 40 now, isn't it?
It's crazy,
before-
isn't it? How
before-
long-
before-
Next
year.
year, isn't it? Yeah,
Next
sorry.
year, yeah.
I had 82 in my head then. I'm thinking Masters of the Universe, aren't I?
Well, you could be thinking because of copyright stamps on the toys. A lot of
No,
copyright
no,
stamps
I'm-
would be like
no,
82,
I'm-
83.
I'm quite clear that Transformers is 84, so I don't know why I was thinking 82. It must have been Masters of the Universe that popped into my
GoBots.
head for a minute then. Pardon?
GoBots.
No, it wasn't that. I had a customer bring their baby down to see me last week. I know completely that it's a girl, but because she had a Grogu hat on, I was calling it a boy. That's how scatterbrained I am at the moment. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a cute little lad. It's like, no, it's a boy. It's a girl. I'm like, I know it's a girl. Then why did you just call it a lad? I was like, it must be the Grogu hat.
Perhaps it cyclically told you how it identified.
Possibly. Possibly.
This week, I mostly identify as a goat herder from Tibet.
Yeah, my mind is just all over the place at the moment. In fact, I felt quite lucky today. I was telling Andy before you joined us, before we started, I had a court appearance today.
Oh yeah.
I was supposed to be giving evidence for a crime that occurred 3.5 years ago.
All right.
And the only thing, you know, a lot of stuff's gone on in life in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And
Want to do with them 4 blokes that escaped from that military blockade, were it?
no. And I was like, I'm all for just saying repeatedly to every question, please refer to my statement, please refer to my statement, because my head is not in the right place to be answering these kind of questions. But fortunately, it did get, because all of the witnesses turned up, he was pretty much screwed. All our statements matched. So it was a case of, do you really want to go through 3 days of court, or do you just want to plead guilty and get it over and done with? And he pleaded guilty. So I didn't need to give any evidence.
Yep, that's the one. Is that what's that? What's that from?
Target 2006.
No, I know it's. I mean, what book is it from? Oh, that one, yeah. Which
I've got,
printing?
I've got all of them in this.
When did that one come out? Which printing's that one?
Graphic novel, licensed by Hasbro, and I have no idea. They released collected comics. They released the collected comics of the American comics and these UK comics in the original sizes. This is a Transforce exclusive edition, apparently. Titan Books. 2002.
Yeah, Titan.
2002.
Right.
Yeah, Titan Books, yeah.
Fair few years ago, then.
Yeah. Yeah, I had them for a while.
4 years before it was set.
Nice yeah. Nice copies though, not the nice versions of them.
Yeah. I didn't like that when they swapped over to that logo though.
No, that's a bit random, isn't it? I think isn't that the Transforce logo? I don't or something. I don't know.
No, I think they swapped over to that logo lateish on in the comics. I think would it have been maybe the mid 200s? I think something like that. I'm not
maybe
right
it's
sure.
a Generation 2 version of it or something. I don't know, but
you know, they went to a more simplified, just like red, white, and blue kind of Transformers logo. Maybe someone will correct me because my recollections are sketchy at best. I know what I know, which isn't a lot. What are you shaking your head for?
You.
Why? What?
Never mind.
I don't. I've probably forgotten more than what I can remember now. To be fair.
Fair enough.
You know. It does. A lot of it, guys. To be fair, a lot of it bleeds into each other. I mean, like I said, I could have sworn that I was still reading the comics to probably well into maybe the 200s issues, yeah. But I think I jumped off probably while it was still in the hundreds, you know. I think I stopped getting the comic probably round about. It probably wasn't long after the Zoids comic finished, to be fair. And Zoids comic only ran for through 86, wasn't it, for a year?
Yeah, it's 51 issues. Yeah, and it's started in 85. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think.
I apologise. I thought you were just riffing on the guy that confused your memory over Soundwave again.
Oh no!
I thought you were just having a joke referring back to that. So apologies.
Oh no! I forgot about that actually. Yeah.
You've forgotten that your memory was questioned.
Yeah. Well, it's probably. I don't know. He might be right. I might be right. I've no idea. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I got it in '84. But you know, I may not have done. But it doesn't matter when you got it. It's just that you had it.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you know,
How much fun it brought you.
Yeah. But so I think I jumped off. It probably would have been maybe early to mid '87. I think I jumped off. You know, comics wise, on Transformers. So it would probably. It could have been maybe mid 150s, maybe. I think I don't know. Because
I think when I stopped, I think around the time that I think the Headmasters had just come in.
Right.
But I don't know where that fell in terms of issues. Then there was that big time space scrap, wasn't there? Where they had to get Shockwave back into a time vortex or something, and Galvatron because it was messing everything up. But the thing is that because I've got all of them collected now, I'm not quite sure where my individual comic buying actually stopped, because obviously I've caught up since, if you see what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going through now rereading, the Hatchet part works, and it's like,
It's a part work collection of all the comics.
All right.
yeah, the Hatchet books. They did like the part work, and but it's like I'm reading them, and it's like, well, I'm sure that happened earlier or something. They were supposed to have put them in sequence, in order for when they did Hatchet, but when I'm reading them, they feel disjointed, and I think maybe it's because one half of the book will be the UK stories, and the second part of the book will be the US stories, and they've tried to stitch them and stitch them together to make a linear kind of narrative in it. But for me, for some reason, when I'm reading them, it doesn't feel linear. It feels a bit, jumped about. Because there was one story, I forget the name of it now, but it's when there's Ethan Zachary, where Prime and Megatron fight each other in the video game, and Prime decides to kill himself, and destroy himself. And it's like, that's already been and gone in the Hatchet. I'm thinking, I'm sure that came later, or read that later on. And what I also find quite interesting about it as well is that to say that your main 84 characters of Transformers, not many of them actually appear in the comics. It seems to jump straight to like all the 85 characters, so people like Blaster and Skids and Trax and, Hoist and that lot. It just, Sunstreaker didn't really appear past the first issue. He was,
because a lot of them got knocked out, didn't they? And then they only reanimated some of them to try and make a last stand and so on, didn't they? Early Door versus Shockwave. So I remember it was quite dark. It was like Zombie
the earlier stuff.
Some of it was quite, it was quite brutal. A lot of it.
I'm just looking at comic covers now. Right. I definitely did issue 150. I recognise that comic cover.
Can you present on screen?
I can't. I don't have administrator rights.
If I would? Can I?
Let's have a look. Oh, now then, you see, now this is interesting. This shows you how raj my brain is. Issue 150, I remember getting issue 150 because it's like the origin of the Transformers, because it did that story where you had Primus and Unicron fighting, and they turned themselves into meteorites, and then Unicron... That actually came out in January of '88. So, yeah. So...
You managed to put something forward for me to put on screen before, in the past. Can you not do that now? I don't know how you did it.
Idea. I don't know.
I'm only saying this because I've got a present option in the studio screen.
Oh, just hang on a minute. Hang on. There we go.
Here it is. Oh yes. Legacy.
All right. I can do the link, but you have to sort of
That's right. I have to add it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recognise this cover, but then it starts getting sketchy past that.
Yeah, I remember thinking that the Seacons thing was just silly, and that might be about the time that I stopped.
Yeah. Oh crap! No. I must have done, because it's got Zombie Impactor.
I do sort of remember that one, I think, from the original run. Yeah.
And I do remember Zombie Impactor because I loved that story, because I won a third-party Masterpiece company to do a Zombie Impactor toy. So, and that was
Somebody
me.
must have done that, surely.
No,
that must be a thing, surely.
No, MMC, Mastermind Creations, did a kind of like a chug version of Impactor, but they called it Spartan, which I think you had in the shop a while back. I think you've had one in the shop, Gareth, to be fair.
I've had an Impactor in.
Yeah, and I remember the Hoodlum storyline. So, right, yeah.
But
I'm
hang on,
talking absolute bollocks.
If you scroll back up a little bit, I wonder if some of those weren't you weren't UK releases though.
No, these are all the UK covers.
Are these UK only? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that's that Transformers styling you were mentioning as well, isn't it? There.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah. I wasn't over keen on it when it went to that particular style. So yeah, it must. Yeah, obviously I was still reading them a lot later than what I thought I was.
I've got some of these from random eBay pickups actually, when they got, because they had Visionaries in it, and I was doing a thing about Marvel and crossovers and stuff, you know, with different toy lines. Now I had that 200 issue. I must have seen that in the newsagents because I had a penchant for getting ones that were like, you know, the big number issues. So I had that 200 issue, but that was after I'd finished regularly collecting.
Yeah. I've just pulled a face because I recognise having issue 200, and that was January '89. Ah, Jesus! But I can say for definite, when it gets to this point here, I have no recollection, and I don't know what happened in the Underbase story arc.
I know of it. I know roughly what.
Yeah, I've
happened,
heard
but
of it, but I don't know the story, so I'm definitely not reading it at that point. So I must have jumped off then at issue 200. I must have, because I do, because it was a wraparound cover.
Yeah, that was the time one I was talking about.
Yeah, and that was January '89. So yeah, I'm talking absolute shite. I obviously read it a lot later than what.
Never.
Oh, yeah, I talk bollocks all the time. Yeah, you need that bigger pinch of the salt when I say that, you know, you need a bloody salt mine. Yeah, how bizarre. Yeah. Oh well.
So I didn't get cool comics like that when I was a kid. I got Mickey Mouse and Friends, and I got Rescue Rangers. I got DuckTales. Now that was a cool comic. Anything DuckTales is cool.
I mean, Marvel UK was probably.
And I got Beano and Dandy.
Yeah, because Marvel UK had its sort of peak, but then it gradually died off. I mean, they even started doing American-sized comics at one point, because that Dragon's Claws that I mentioned was an American-sized miniseries that they issued. I've got the collected ones here as well. I sold mine quite a while ago. But I did have the originals for quite a while, and that's one of those, you know, one of those things that you kind of regret getting rid of.
Yes.
One of those, definitely.
But anyway, look, I'm sorry, chaps. I've just realised the time. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to duck out early.
No, that's fine.
No, it's not
I
early.
was going to say, we should start winding it down at this time now. If anyone, I mean, the chat's been extremely quiet tonight, but if there's anyone that wants to ask anything or prompt anything, now's the chance, because we are going to be winding it down now. We're past our bedtime.
We are.
January used to be.
No. But yeah, it's been an interesting chat anyway. It certainly has, starting off with the technical aspects of being a YouTuber, moving on to show and tell, and then banging on about old comics. It's been brilliant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Fair enough. Right. Well, I'm gonna duck out. If anyone wants to ask a question, they'll have to get me at some other time. But listen, take care, chaps. It's been fun, and I'll catch you both later. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Before you go, have you got an episode tomorrow night, or is it next week?
No, I've moved it to fortnightly now, so it's going to be 1 week with you guys. Then the following week is going to be Collector's Archive. Just because I just haven't got the time at the moment. I've got quite a bit of work on again at the minute, so I just can't fit it in. So I'm gonna have to go fortnightly with it. Plus, it gives me a chance to spend a bit more time on them as well, and not rush them.
Yeah, it's sensible. It's sensible. Yeah.
So I mean, if they were shorter, maybe, if they're a bit shorter, a bit tighter, maybe I'd keep weekly. But when I'm recording, they're averaging between 2.5 hours a pop. So I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, but when you're editing, I can be editing all day. Just for even just to get it down to like an hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but in sometimes, by the time it comes to the premiere, I've already watched it maybe 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like oh Christ, I've got to watch it again. You know, kind of thing. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like you say. It's I suppose it's that thing where you say, you know, if you work in a sweet shop, you don't eat the sweets anymore because
I have been toying with the idea of dropping the premieres and going straight into just them going live at whatever time.
Yeah.
And people can watch it. And like you do with yours, Andy, you just drop them, don't you? You don't have to.
Well, yeah, ironically, I've kind of gone the other way. I think I didn't really think about doing premieres, but then it occurs to me that if you're there interacting with people in the chat, it can pull more people in. So, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? And also with the premieres, people know that they're coming, so they can kind of think and they get reminded about it more often. So, I think there's definitely an argument for them, I think, if you can spare the time, obviously, So.
No, but anyway, right, I'm going to go. But yeah, thanks for watching. But just before I go, shout out to Peters and Lee. We love you.
Who?
Peters and Lee. You'll have to look it up. I'll catch you later.
All right, take care. Right, well, I suppose that brings us to an end then, doesn't it?
That's it then.
Yep. Yeah. Unless you've got anything else to add, Andy.
I'm sure I could find something, but I think we probably need a cup of tea in bed, quite frankly. So.
Yeah. Well, I've got the kids' sandwiches to make, and I need to do this week's delivery video.
Now?
Yes, now. God. It's mostly done. I've just got a few finishing touches to do. Like I said, I've been having some problems with Clipchamp, and I had one tonight.
Such fun, yes.
So it'll be going live tomorrow instead of tonight. But there we go.
Grand. Right, so.
Well, take care, won't you?
I will do. And you.
There we are. Right.
Cheerio.
Good night.